It's the garnet and it's the gold. It's Florida State spring football here at the Voice of College Football FSU. We appreciate everybody being here. We're going to check out Jordan Travis and the rest of the Noles here. And as you well know, we've got a Florida State show that we bring you each and every Wednesday night at 6 Eastern time. So please join us then. And you know that we're familiar with Florida State, and we cover Florida State on a daily basis here at the Voice of College Football. So we are going to take it in. We've got the stat sheet up for Jordan Travis right now on the ACC network. 63% passer last year, which was a huge improvement over the previous season. 22 total touchdowns. I believe 15 of those through the air. If I'm not mistaken, 15 touchdowns through the air, 7 rushing, 6 picks. And we've talked about it for weeks and weeks and weeks on our Florida State Live show. What are we looking for today? Well, I've got to say that as soon as they transitioned from the North Carolina spring game to the Florida State game on the ACC network, whoever the analyst is for the Florida State game here, with all due respect, he was running down last season and he said they should have won the Notre Dame game. They should have won the Jacksonville State game. They should have won the Florida game. I didn't realize that Florida State was that good last season. They should have been 8-4. They could not have in any way lost the Syracuse game or the Miami game, of course. Okay, we got Mike Norvell on the field. And Florida State fans, let's enjoy the game together. Let's check out your comments. Sad Buckeye, good to see you. John's here as well. Good to see you. Exploring with Ben, FSU. What? And Fatal Gator, good to see you as well. Maybe we'll do a Thursday night with Florida displaying its spring game this Thursday night. I want to do a Thursday night watch party, but I don't know if we can get the Florida game on. All right. Ferris is here. Good to see you. Exploring with Ben, of course, as an Oregon fan, still appreciates Florida State stealing Willie Taggart away from us. And that seemed to work out sometimes it works out for the team stealing the particular player or coach. It usually works out for them because if they know what they're doing, then they went and upgraded. But in this case, what did Willie Taggart do at Oregon? He went 7-6 for a team that had half of the national championship roster. Ferris, thank you. Of course, you've been with us all day. We appreciate that. We hit the live stream early in the day at noon Eastern time. And of course, the news had broken about Dwayne Haskins. And one more time, condolences go out to the Haskins family, wife and children, extended family and friends, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Washington football team, and of course, the Ohio State family as well, in honor of Dwayne Haskins. Michael Ayers says FSU is garbage and will be garbage. Michael, what's garbage? Give me a win total. What's garbage? Hey, Roger. Thanks for the thumbs up. Everybody else do the same, please. Thumbs up. It helps us out here on YouTube. John says, Mark, I don't know if you saw, but the Florida police are reporting that Haskins was crossing the highway and was hit by a dump truck. So when someone dies, on one hand, regardless of whether they had a hand in it or they were completely innocent, whether they were doing something foolish or stupid, or they were completely innocent. A death is a death, and it's horrible. On the other hand, it becomes a little bit more senseless when, you know, we tend, for good reason, to have sympathy, much more sympathy, when it's somebody who was completely innocent in some kind of horrible situation in which their lives were taken. But oh my goodness! So wow, if that's the case, he was obviously not being safe. Alan, GBR. Alan, did you catch our post game at the Voice of College Football Nebraska? So we had Zach Reeder on the line for our Nebraska post game after the Huskers. That was a pretty exciting second half. I saw the second half, and I think they pretty much unleashed in regards to playing some real football in the second half in Lincoln. And it was an exciting finish. Nebraska beat Nebraska. I think the defense beat the offense. Tate Rodemaker's out there warming up, and again, we will see how this goes. I found it odd. I don't know what the contractual stipulations were with these games or anything, but you had ACC games at 11, 1, 3, and 5. I think all these are live. The Boston College, Clemson, North Carolina, and Florida State games live. And then NC State is next at 7 o'clock and Pitt at 9. I've got to think that those are tape delayed. Regardless, so Clemson was still playing at 3 o'clock. And they took us away from the Clemson game to go to North Carolina on time. So I get that. But when they got to the North Carolina game at 3 p.m., they didn't start playing for like 20 or 25 minutes at least. The real MVP, yes, as I just noted, NC State playing at 7 and Pitt playing at 9. Are they actually playing at those times, or is that a recording? Are they playing this afternoon? I thought that they were playing this afternoon, and they're just showing it at that point. I think that's the deal. So, yeah, if this schedule that I've got in front of me is correct, NC State already played at 1 o'clock, and Pitt already played at 1 o'clock as well. So Pitt and NC State played at 1 o'clock. According to this schedule that I've got in front of me, they're just showing, yes, it's not live. Okay. Not that it matters. It's not like we can find out the score and it matters. Like the old days. Way before probably anybody that's watching right now. Like, for example, when the Americans beat the Russians in the 1980 Olympics in hockey, we all watched it afterwards. We knew what the final score was, but not a lot of people did know the final score because we didn't have the internet and people didn't pick up information like that then. If you're an NBA fan, you would be shocked to know up until about 1980 that most of the NBA games that were the weeknight games, not the weekend games, but the weeknight games were shown on tape delay. You didn't see the NBA finals live. They were on tape delay. This was until about 1980. The weekend games were live. The weekday games they would show after the local news. According to Michael, Mike Norvell is going to be fired after losses to Miami and Florida. in their first-year coaches. He might be. I don't know what the threshold for him is. I would think that 8-4 is a good season. Like 8-4 is a good season. If Florida State goes 8-4, I'm going to say thumbs up, mission accomplished. That's a marked improvement. They go 7-5. Obviously, 7-5 is better than 5-7 or 6-6. You get to a bowl game. Again, depending on how they compete against Miami and Clemson. And if they don't get blown out at all. Last season, they didn't really get blown out. Wake Forest kind of blew them out. That was really the only one where they really weren't too competitive in the game, but they didn't get blown out last year. And yeah, as is being brought up here by John, it goes back to money as well. Michael says, what makes you think they can go 8-4? Well, I didn't say that they were going to go 8-4. I think it's possible. I'm probably not going to pick them to go 8-4. Oh, they're going to do 2-point conversion drills here first. Is that Rodemaker? Who just got picked? So this Florida State situation, I guess they are just going to go through various situations. It's going to be situational football. It's not necessarily going to be a game or an offense versus defense. I kind of like the offense versus defense. So we got another 2-point play. And that's going to be a 2-pointer. Thrown out to the outside there. So Sam McCall, who was the highest ranked Florida State signee, he's the guy that picked off that pass. We're going to do most likely some Florida State post game, so I'm going to have to take some notes so I remember what happened in this. But don't hold me to it, but we might have Jason Parker, maybe Logan Robinson on, maybe James Coleman, probably not James. James tailgating. He's not going to be around. But possibly we pull in Jason after the Florida State game to talk some FSU football. Another interception. The 2-point play is not working too well for the offense right now. So, Michael, what would make me think that they're going to go 8-4 would be that Jordan Travis should continue to improve. They should be better along the offensive line. They should be markedly better at wide receiver. The wide receiver play at Florida State's been pretty bad for the last few years, but I think they should be better. Now, Wilton Wright getting injured, guy that caught 63 balls at West Virginia last year, not good. And then now they need to find pass rushers to replace Keir Thomas and Jermaine Johnson. That's a sore spot right there. Fatal Gator, Florida's beaten FSU 3 years in a row. 3 years and 2 years ago were blowouts, but last year was close, so this year should be a good game. It should be a good game because they're both pretty marginal teams. Fatal Gator believes FSU is getting better. I would still say Florida's better, but FSU is getting better. How quickly are they getting better? 2-point conversion here. And did they get another pick? Another pick. Another 2-point conversion pick. Oh, my goodness. That was A.J. Duffy, the prized freshman. Exploring with Ben. Okay, maybe FSU figuring the rebuild will take some time and just going to give Norvell the chance. Can't complain with that. I think that unless they have a disastrous season, he's back. I think if he goes 6-6, he's back. G Bama boy, I agree. 7-5. So anytime I evaluate a team, first and foremost, you go right to the record. Okay, what did they finish? But a 7-5. Let's look at the schedule. So let's look at the schedule. Duquesne's a win out of the gate week 0. Then they've got LSU in New Orleans. They've got Louisville on the road, BC, Wake Forest, at NC State, Clemson. Bye week, Georgia Tech at Miami, at Syracuse, Louisiana, Florida. So one thing that stands out to me, and I will actually go to our folder with our Florida State schedules so I can post it to the bottom of the screen. So right on the bottom of the screen, we've got Florida State's schedule. The first thing that jumps out to me is that look at their non-conference schedule. Look at their non-conference schedule. Now, of course, this is not necessarily a vintage LSU or Florida teams. You know, you could catch a particular year where Florida and LSU are both top 10 teams, but so they're not catching vintage LSU and Florida teams, but still it's LSU and Florida. And one of their other 2 non-conference games is Louisiana. And that's not a give me. Louisiana's been a top flight program. Of course, they lose their head coach and a ton of productivity, but still special teams drills now. So that's a tough non-conference schedule. Florida, Louisiana, and LSU, along with Duquesne. So if they can go 2-2 non-conference, and they should go 2-2 for sure, really 3-1 should be a goal non-conference. And then if you look at who do they play in the other division? Well, they always play Miami, of course, but this year they've got Georgia Tech. So they're playing the worst team that they could play, most likely in the other division. So they get a break there. They don't have to play like North Carolina or Pitt. They've got Georgia Tech. Okay. Let's say they split their non-conference games, beat Duquesne and Louisiana, lose to LSU and Florida, 2-2. And that's probably on the downside. They could go 3-1 there. Let's look at the ACC. Their first batch of ACC games, as they continue these special teams drills, at Louisville, BC, Wake, at NC State, and Clemson. In those 5 games, they're probably going to go 2-3. And then their next batch to finish out is Georgia Tech, Miami, and Syracuse. So win 2 of those 3, and they're 4-4 in the ACC. I've got them basically 6-6 with the possibility at 7-5. It's very odd when these teams in the ACC, because of those crossover SEC rivalries, and then in this case, Florida State scheduled Louisiana the second to last weekend of the season. So their last 2 games are non-conference games. And Jacksonville State's not on the schedule. That's a plus. A100 likes what Terry Bowden, former Akron coach and Auburn, of course, is doing at Louisiana Monroe, but opens at Texas. Yikes. Well, who knows with Texas? John says Dan Mullen went 1-3 against Ogeron. That's why he got fired. Well, they lost to that historic national championship team in 2019, so that was no shame in that. And that was a good game. Florida gave them one of the best games of the year. And then the 2020 game was the debacle with the shoe tossing by, who was that? Marco Wilson. And then losing this past year, that was not a good one. 2018, they lost a close game in the Swamp. Garrett says the last time he saw Florida State play, and now he's watching a Florida State spring game, or maybe, Garrett, you're just here talking college football with us, not watching the Florida State spring game, which is not a spring game, it's a series of drills. Last time I saw Florida State play was the Rose Bowl playoff when Winston fell on his back and fumbled the ball against Oregon. This is a year after winning the Heisman and the national championship. Yes. 59-20. Michael, piling on here. Mike Norvell is hiding how bad this team is from the fans by running drills. I don't know that fans can necessarily tell how good or bad a particular team is by a spring game anyway. How many people are at this game or these series of drills? There's 25,000 people there. EJ Manuel is telling us that he wants to see consistency from the offensive line. Okay, maybe they're playing some legitimate football here. Jordan Travis is in the game. Little pitch right to Lawrence Toafili. Offensive line gets a little push in that one. Michael, the shoe toss game was last season in the Fog Bowl in the Swamp. No. The shoe toss game was in 2020, not 2021. The shoe toss game was the week before, was the last game of the regular season or the last conference game for Florida, the year they played Alabama in the SEC championship game. There you go. Thanks, John. Thanks for backing me up. No, that was 2020. Ferris says of the Florida schools, it seems to me from the outside looking in that Florida was always the strongest program historically. Really? Always? Well, not from the early 80s to the early 2000s. Florida was really good for most of that time, but Florida State and Miami were so good. You know, you're talking about, Ferris, you're talking about post 1980, there being a good chunk of time that these schools were top 5 in the country. Go year to year. Florida State finished in the top 5 in the country 14 consecutive years. But historically, it's extremely close. Ferris, you should know, I ran down the all-time program rankings, and those three, I think, finished something like 14, 15, and 16. And they would be much higher post 1980. 3rd and 8. Okay, that looked good. Back shoulder, they were on the same page. The timing was there. Danny Cannell on the sideline. Let's see here. It's kind of odd that the interviewer just mentioned that Danny Cannell played, what was it like to play with Charlie Ward? Well, Charlie Ward and Danny Cannell were starting quarterbacks at different times. And yes, their careers overlapped, but they didn't really play together. Why she brought up Charlie Ward with Danny Cannell, I don't know. Julian says if Florida State goes 9-3 or 8-4 plus win their bowl game, that's respectable. Yes, it would be. John says, Mark at his post-game press conference, Dan Mullen said that Marco Wilson was performing a football move and that shouldn't have been a penalty. I know. Believe me, I was going off on Dan Mullen following that ridiculousness in which he, first of all, it's like, Dan Mullen denied at one point in the news conference that he even really knew what happened. And then he kind of, he didn't just, the end of Dan Mullen's tenure there at Florida, I've gone over ad nauseum of all the stupid things he did and said. Look at my man, DeAndre, BGPO Football Funk. Hope you enjoyed the Clemson game and got a chance to see it, DeAndre. I don't know that there was a lot to see, but you got to see your guys in orange and purple running around. What is good, DeAndre? Appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for the contribution. It reminds everyone that the Super Chat's available to you. Also, Venmo, PayPal, and Cash App, Mark Rogers TV. Just go to Mark Rogers TV on Venmo, PayPal, or Cash App. There you can find me, Mark Rogers TV. Also, of course, our Discord, where you can talk college football 24/7, 365. On Discord, go to Patreon, search Mark Rogers TV, and we will get you the link to Discord. Yeah, that was ugly, John. Last year, Ty Davis Price running for 3 bills against Todd Grantham's sad defense. It's noteworthy that Grantham was fired 3 weeks later. Ooh. Trey Benson turned the corner. Trey Benson, the transfer from Oregon, showed a burst there, turned the corner. Starting to get a little football play here now. And I see that the Yankees and the Red Sox are playing bottom of the 4th inning. A couple of years ago, I would have been struggling on what to watch right now. Thanks, Mayhem Matthew. I'll get to your email when I get a chance sometime in the next few days. Garrett says there was a rumor about Braxton Miller transferring to FSU after winning the title in 2014, and Winston had declared for the NFL draft. I'm like, who thought of that story? Well, if he wanted to continue to play quarterback, that's coming back to me as well. Michael, I agree with you, Mark. I don't know what you're agreeing with me on, but thank you. I agree with you, Mark. And I do have to ask Purdue's schedule. Could they be a top 7 to 10 team this year in the country? Purdue? I don't think so. No. I'd be awfully surprised. Who does Purdue play in the Big Ten East? I know they've got Penn State. Yeah, that's where I'm going with that, John. Top 7 to 10 in the Big Ten. Purdue could finish. They could finish in the top 5 to 7 in the Big Ten, something in that range. Ferris, did not Braxton Miller get hurt that season as well? Yeah, he got nicked up a little bit from what I remember when he was playing slot receiver. Purdue in the top 20, sure. They were a top 20 team for me this past season. How they did not finish ranked in the top 25 is ridiculous. Okay, Michael's telling us they play Penn State. I think that game's at home, Maryland and Indiana. So they could win all 3 of those games. Yeah, they could. The realistic ceiling for Purdue, they could go 7-2 in the Big Ten. And who's their big non-conference game? Purdue. Purdue out of conference. Indiana State at Syracuse, Florida Atlantic. Okay. For all of us picking on Michael, they get a shot to finish in the top 10. They got a shot. It's not out of question. Oh, was that ugly? They just had a blocked field goal in which it wasn't even close to not being blocked. Basically hit the guy in the kneecap. So the special teams, less than silky smooth right now. But to your point, Michael, no Ohio State, Michigan State. Penn State at home, and they should be better than Maryland and Indiana. So they could sweep the Big Ten East, and the other 6 teams, they could go 4-2 against the Big Ten Western Division. They're 7-2 then in the Big Ten. That's an easy non-conference schedule. Michael asking, Mark, do you remember what I said about Purdue last year and you all killed me? No, I don't remember. Sorry, I have too many people telling me different things all the time to remember what any particular person said. Oh, yeah, they can throw it around, but they do lose those receivers and George Karlaftis. So I'm not saying that they're going to do that, and I'm not saying, Michael, that that's likely. I'm just giving you credit that that's not crazy. That's not crazy thinking that Purdue could go 7-2 against the Big Ten with that light Big Ten schedule. And who do they play out of conference? Nobody. Syracuse. Syracuse is awful. Purdue should sweep their non-conference. If they go 7-2 against the rest of that Big Ten schedule, they're 10-2. Mike says 2 potential losses I see are Wisconsin and Minnesota. Well, 2 potential losses? I see a lot of potential losses. Potential losses by Purdue, Penn State, Minnesota, Maryland, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Iowa, Illinois. Those are all potential losses. So is Indiana. Indiana's going to bounce back and be better than 2-10. So let's not assume that they're going to win all these games, just as much as we can't assume that Purdue's going to lose to those various teams. Are they basically going to win those other games? Purdue's 10-2 max, 6-6 should be their floor. What's going on in this Florida State practice? Jordan Travis, how's he looking? That ball on time. Very nice. Looks good. This guy's improved considerably. John, I think's got a good idea if I'm starting to read this correctly here. Mark, you need to do an on the record show where people call in and make 1 to 5 predictions about the season. Then we revisit the predictions at the end of the season, praise the good, grill the bad. And also kind of characterize or categorize those predictions, because somebody calls in and says Ohio State's going to go 11-1 this year. Okay, fine. If you get that right, we'll pat you on the back a little bit, but it's no great feat to say Ohio State's going to go 11-1 or Kansas is going to go 2-10. Peter Boulware out there, Florida State linebacker, great player. But if you give maybe I could rate the difficulty of the predictions as well and give points. It's a bit of a show, a concept there that you came up with, John. I like that. Ed's got 15-0 for the Ferris 10-2 with losses to Rutgers and Maryland. Christopher citing the great Van Morrison. Good day to you all, and here comes the night. Buckeye fans will never forget 49-20. Well, you got to remember, Garrett, that the less games you lose, the easier they are to remember. When you only lose about 10 games a decade, they kind of stand out. James' favorite Florida State players of all time. Work done. Peter Warwick. Okay. My favorite Florida State players of all time. I'll throw those two in there. They were both fun to watch. Dion was fun to watch, of course. Anybody else? Mayhem, do you consider a 10-win season elite, great, good, or bad? Generally, again, there are a lot of caveats to that, depending on schedule, depending on how well you performed. If you went 10-2, let's take Michigan. Michigan's playing a garbage non-conference schedule. They got 3 gimmies. And so if they go 7-2 in the Big Ten, they go 10-2, and they get torched against Ohio State and Penn State, they're not elite. So it's a judgment call, but generally I'm going with 10 wins is typically good, not elite. Yeah, I like this opener A100 with Penn State at Purdue. That's cool. Yes, Ferris. Purdue should not be marking down the Iowa game as a win at this point. They do play. Ferris, obviously, you're talking about Michigan, I would think. Is that like I think that's an authentic 50s tune that they're playing on that clothing commercial, whoever that is. I think that's like Rick Nelson. Okay. John, how bold of a prediction is Bama will win the Natty? Because I'm thinking about laying 2 bills on Bama to win the Natty. Well, think of it this way. Bama probably is the best team in the country. They're definitely in the top 3. Nick Saban's won 6 natties since he got this thing rolling in 15 seasons. Take off the first year, go 14 seasons. There's probably a 40-some% chance that Alabama's going to win the national championship. Michael. Yes, just because Jeff Brom is 4-1 against Iowa, that's great, but that's in the past. So that's great that Jeff Brom's 4-1 against Iowa. That doesn't guarantee continued success. We could cite all sorts of series across college football where one coach started 4-1 against somebody and then they lost 3 consecutive games. So that's great. They have been a thorn in the side of Kirk Ferentz, but and they've got him at home. So we might be talking a little more Purdue football than we typically do. And Michael's going to be a happy guy. Michael, I know that you're looking at the Wisconsin and Minnesota games because they're on the road. And I noticed that when a lot of people make predictions, they tend to default all the losses, most of the losses for the good teams, not the bad teams. The bad teams lose home and away, but for the good teams, they tend to default those close games to always losing on the road. Would love for somebody to take all the, let's say all of college football, especially in the Power Five, in conference play. How many games are won at home? How many games on the road? You know? Purdue lost games at home last year, right? They lost to Wisconsin at home. So in the Big Ten last year, Purdue, and I see this all the time. When I see people make prognostications, they typically just think, well, this team's a good team. They should go 9-3, 10-2. Well, they're going to lose all, unless there's some kind of juggernaut on their schedule like Georgia, they're going to lose their games on the road. And that's just not the case. It's the case more times than 50%, but it's not some 90% certainty. Last year, Purdue went Purdue went 3-2 at home in the Big Ten. That means they went 3-1 on the road. 3-2 at home, 3-1 on the road. Yeah. James says Texas deserves to be lousy. James Winston wanted to attend Texas, and they would not even entertain a conversation with him. Okay. I would think that there's pretty much a story like that for every school in the country. Probably a dozen stories like that they turned down an athlete that they should have taken. Cincinnati, Arkansas, Hogs will win by 14 according to Mayhem Matthew. Peanut is here talking up the Canes. Of course, we've got our Florida Miami show every Wednesday and Thursday night. Jay wants to know how he can watch the actual game. Okay, Arto chiming in, ACC Network. Michael asking about a call-in show later. I don't believe so. I'm looking to do one on Sunday. How's that? I'm looking to do one on Sunday and then one on Monday. These are my thoughts at this point, that on Sunday, we're going to wrap up at least the conference portion of our coaches rankings and do an SEC coaches rankings call-in show on Sunday. And then on Monday, I think we're going to start a call-in series in which we look at decades of disputed national championships. Yes, Fatal Gator. Penn State goes to Auburn this year. James says Deion Sanders is on the brink of stealing yet another top prospect from Florida State. He's literally killing his old alma mater. Did not know that. Well, exploring with Ben after 3.5 hours. Yeah, that was a bit much on some occasions, especially on Thursday after recording all day. Michael, Minnesota and Wisconsin were the losses for Purdue. Purdue has not won in Camp Randall since 2003 and in Minnesota since 2010. All right, we got some goal line offense. Roll left. Throw it away. Peanut only sees one. Give me for Florida State this year. It's the first game against a no-name FCS team. Well, they do have a name. It's Duquesne. Season is going to be brutal for y'all. I think that's a fair point. There's not a game on the schedule Florida State could not lose. There is not a game on the schedule other than the Duquesne game that Florida State, they could lose to Louisiana. They could lose to any ACC team on the schedule because they got to play the entire Atlantic, Georgia Tech, and Miami out of the Coastal. I think we had a touchdown there. But Florida State should beat Louisiana. They should beat Georgia Tech. They should beat Syracuse. Miami, I think you're pretty much in the same boat until you prove otherwise. You were a little better than Florida State, except for when you played them, you weren't as good as Florida State last year. So it's kind of hard for a Miami fan to get on a Florida State fan at this point when you lost the last matchup. You did win the 3 before that, but you lost the 7 before that, and you had a better team, but not by a ton last year. 7-5, 5-7. Now, to watch the two teams, Miami was clearly better than Florida State last year. Again, other than when they actually played. Edwards says, as for Dabo, why not have a scrimmage game with another team? I'm okay with that. What do you think, Mark? Yeah, Dabo said that. I heard his comments that he would love to. He said, every other level of football in America gets to play preseason games / scrimmages, except us, college football. I think that as long as other coaches hold that same opinion, and it sounds like Dabo would like to have another team. So you'd have to match up with, I think it would be most reasonable to match up with a team in your area so there's not much travel, but a team that you don't play in the regular season. So for Florida State, maybe they match up against FIU or FAU or UCF. And Miami plays one of those other Florida schools, the same with Florida. And you play a team that's not in your conference, a team not on your schedule, but in close proximity, so there's not a lot of travel. I don't know what other coaches would say about that. I would tend to think that they're on Dabo's side. There it is, John. LSU in Southeast Louisiana. Our guys get tougher competition playing ourselves. Well, you can say that about most teams in the country. You could say that about 20 or 30, 40 teams. Mr. HD, FSU is horrible 5-7. Miami at 7-5. If 5-7 is horrible, then 7-5 is mediocre. So who is this Eric that you say somebody put you at number 16, number 1 in the pack 12? Garrett's asking about the Ohio State-Oregon game that was supposed to be played in Eugene in 2020. That has yet to be worked out. I haven't heard anything about that in quite some time, how that's going to be worked out. I think it's just going to be dropped. I think most of those games from 2020 are just going to be dropped unless there is a gap on both schools' schedule and they want to play the game. I got some chow, got a frozen pizza. It was pretty bad. It's a little chilly. It's a little chilly at the Florida State game, we understand. It's a little chilly. Wait a minute. And the dude doing the analysis says it's flat out cold. Really? Tallahassee, Florida weather. It's 66 and it's cold. Yeah, I like the idea of a Power 5 G5 scrimmage game sometime in August. I have no issue with that. Why would I have an issue? It's just more football, and it's whatever's best for the players. For the players, first and foremost, for the coaches, secondly. Yeah, it's 66. There it is, Cheryl. It would be Ohio State and Cincinnati, I would think, or Ohio State and other MAC schools, and they could play some kind of round robin. I don't think they would want to play Cincinnati every year. I don't know if you guys saw the big signing last night, or the commitment from the number 1 or 2 rated offensive tackle in the country, Josh Connerly, out of the state of Washington, to Eric's beloved Ducks. Eric, looking forward to the visit from the Buckeyes in 2032. I don't want to think about 2032. Good Lord. Or the Ducks winning at the shoe again in 2033. See what's going on now. They're huddling. All right. Sideline huddle. See Caden Lyles. I see Dylan Gibbons. See Trey Benson, Jordan Travis. Let's watch this offensive line operate. Seconds left in the first half. Quick pitch right. That was effective. First down. Last play of the first half. And that should do it. Or maybe that was the first quarter. First quarter. Okay, first quarter. I so much would love somebody to take over, i.e., me and my committee, take over scheduling in college football. We wouldn't be talking about teams playing in 2032. There's no reason for that. It makes absolutely no sense. There's no reason for us to be talking about games in 2032. Yeah, it will be coming by then. Technically, I'll be slightly under the bar, James. If it would be a good video to draw some audience and start up some good discussion and debate, I would go to work on my schedule and I would build a schedule for the 22 season based on how I would do it. Because these schools should not be scheduling themselves. They should not be scheduling themselves. That is the first thing that is screwed up about college football. John says maybe the SEC will hire you to schedule games when the SEC is a 24-team super conference in 2033. I'm up for it. Garrett would like to see Ohio State and Cincinnati playing as a rivalry game every year. Every year. Okay. This is the issue with that. Ohio State plays in the Big Ten with only three non-conference games. If they always play Cincinnati, then they would not be playing another big-time school, much like Iowa does not. When you're locked down to one and you only have three non-conference games and you're locked down to playing a particular opponent as your big game every year, then that kind of kills the rest of your schedule. I lost focus, did I? Wonder what it did that recently too. Is it back? I think. You mean focus camera? Miami is cursed. Did that national championship game curse Miami? They've never been the same. Am I still out of focus? I don't think so. Am I? I'm good. Okay. The longtime Florida State play-by-play announcer is retiring. Gene Deckerhoff. I've probably heard some of his calls, but of course not living close. I'm not familiar with his work. There you go, James. Hit the like button, folks. Please at least do that. So there's a number of ways you can contribute here at the Voice of College Football. Subscribe, please. What's a good goal for the end of the year on subscribers? We're just under 34,000. I would like to get us to 100,000. 100,000 would be a great goal. I would love to get to 100K. So we got a lot of work to do. 100,000 subscribers. So if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything. There's no reason not to subscribe. So please subscribe. And if you want to know when we go live and when we upload new content, hit the bell for the notifications. If you don't want to be bothered by that, don't open up the notifications. That's fine. You do whatever you want, but please subscribe. We have not been adding subs recently here on the main channel, so please subscribe. And I notice, and this is pretty typical of YouTube, that most of the people that watch the videos are not subscribed. That's typical. Yes, James, I believe it's reasonable. It's quite the reach at 34,000 right now to 100,000, but it can be done. But if we could get the people that watch the videos to subscribe, then we could move in that direction. Please hit the like button. And if you don't know why the like button is such a big deal, let's watch this play. Oh, not a good ball there. Has nothing to do with whether I care if anybody likes the video. Not that I don't appreciate you liking the video, but it's not for me or my ego, or it doesn't make me feel good. YouTube puts stock in it. They really tie their algorithms into how many people like the video. They figure that if 10,000 people watch a video and only 100 people like it, then they're not going to push that video, and they're not going to push future videos from that particular person. But if 10,000 people watch the video and it gets 5,000 likes, they're going to push that video and other videos from that particular person. So yeah, I would love to get to 100,000, and we can do that with your help. So please subscribe and tell others too as well. Exploring with Ben's got a YouTube channel. Exploring with Ben, I believe, says this is reasonable. Thank you. To get to 100,000. Hummus Hero, you're very kind, but Uncle Lou's amazing. Has a great YouTube channel. We just do different things. Connor Johnson, Pac-12 coaching video did well, more than Big 12 as much as ACC. Actually, Connor, none of them did well. That's not good enough. That's Connor. This is where I get caught between a rock and a hard place, is to do content that I love to do. Like, I love to do that. I love to do those all-time program rankings. I love to do the coaches rankings. We're going to do quarterback rankings. We're going to do schedule previews. I love to do that kind of stuff. But we got like 500 or 600 views on those videos. You know how much money YouTube pays for a video? This is how much. Let's see. How much money do you think YouTube paid? Got to reset my computer. Does this? It used to do this, and now it's been really good for a few months, and now it's doing this again, where if I leave it for too long, I got to restart the computer, or it won't connect to the internet. It's just frozen. So, Connor, we're going to see how much money YouTube paid us for that Pac-12 coaching video. I'm guessing it got like 600 views, right? That's all it did. Like hardly anybody watched it. During the season, the average video does about 3,500 views. So let's see here. And really, not even 3,500 views per video really is enough to pay in income. Sponsorships is going to be the route to go, and subscriptions. But I'm just curious because I have an idea, but does anybody have a guess? Connor, you got a guess? As soon as I tell you how many views we got for this video, you guys can guess how much YouTube paid. Man, this is so keeps disconnecting. Okay. I know you guys are just enthralled by this. Okay, let's see. I'm just curious. So, where was that? Pac-12. There it is. So for the Pac-12 coaches rankings, we got 820 views. There you go. Thank you, Connor. Eric says $17. Anybody else with a guess? John says, I'm guessing 500 views on a 10-minute video pays about $25. So, John, you bring a interesting, or you bring a metric into it that makes a whole lot of sense. So there's not just a YouTube formula that if you get 1,000 views, you make $5. It's not that cut and dry. It's some convoluted formula that nobody knows, but it has to do with when you release the video, how many people watched it, how long they watched it, who they are. If I have a bunch of people in Ethiopia watch my videos, then they're not going to pay me any money because those people can't spend money. If they're in Hollywood and they're watching my video, then so there are all sorts of different metrics beyond the number of views that go into how much YouTube pays in ads. So I got a guess of $10, $30, $70, $100. That would be nice. 17 for an 820 view video. Guys ready for this? Now, this isn't for every video that does 820 views, but it's pretty indicative. Again, there are other factors. This is how much YouTube paid me for that. On the banner. That's how much I got paid. So as you can see, I'm spending 3 or 4 hours on a video and I make $7. That's below minimum wage, I think. So, see, that's what I'm wrestling with. Dave wins. Where's Dave? Dave guessed. Oh, Dave with $5. Yeah. Do I take rubles? How would that work? Somebody else asked me that. Yes, Eric. So we're coming up with alternate ways to make money. Because, yeah, if I should be getting 10,000 views for a video like that. Is what I should do, is get 10,000, and then it's more like $80. And that's still not even really worth my time. But it's a lot closer. John, good question. So, yeah, YouTube really ramps it up, not necessarily during college football season, but only college football season because it's getting closer to Christmas. So they cut it down worse than that after Christmas, but then it starts to slowly come back. And for some reason, they really pay at the end of the season. But that's a short period of time. It's like Peanut 3844 says minimum wage is different in every state, but I don't think it's less than like $2 an hour. Yes, sponsors. Sponsors. We'll figure it out. Eric, appreciate you being here as always. Encouraging everyone to sign up on Patreon and get your Discord link right there. You can talk to Eric and Tim and Ronan and whoever else is over there. I jump in. Uber Sports Show. I don't know what that is. Look it up. Sports Paradox Network. Uber Sports Show. Talk football while picking people up. Oh, yeah. So this is kind of like comedians do this, right? Heard about this. I haven't watched it, but I've got a buddy who tells me about these all the time where the comedians pick people up and they do like an Uber show. Yeah. Hummus Hero. So, Mark, if you made hairstyling videos and got 800 views from Beverly Hills viewers, YouTube would run Mercedes ads and pay you $1 million. Well, or maybe instead of paying me $7 for that video, they'd pay me like $22 for that video. Would that be recognized in public since I've been doing this, or recognized in public when I was on local news? That's when I got recognized in public a lot. But I have been recognized in public. Actually, the last time I was recognized in public was I was in Houston last summer. I don't remember when it was. I was in Houston, and it was funny because I was in a Chili's, Applebee's, Chili's, one of those. And the waiter came up to the table, and I'm looking down, and as soon as I look up, he goes, "Mark, the voice of college football." That would be the last time. I'd watch that video of me doing Chip Kelly's hair. Who's got the best hair in college football? Who's got the worst hair? What do you guys think of Mike Gundy's hair? Like, why is he going that route? I got to hand it to him. I got to give it up for him to be doing whatever he wants to do, because it in my book looks pretty bad. Looks pretty stupid. But Eric likes Gundy's hair. Probably Ryan Day. Ryan Day with a beard. Sid Irish, you didn't miss much. We're not talking about Florida State football. Edward McCoy, do you interview with the likes of ESPN or other commentators on TV? What do you mean, do I interview with them? Do I bring them on to interview them? I've had a few of those people on. I've had on Jerry DiNardo from the Big Ten Network, and I used to have on Peter Burns all the time from ESPN. Peter Burns is a great guy. Ryan Day is the guy that has kind of like plastic hair. Really? Ryan Day does? Huh. I would think, let me think. Nobody really wears their hair like that. If anything, that's me. that's me. Nobody wears their hair like that anymore. If that would be somebody, I would think that would be like Nick Saban or man, he's overshooting everybody I've seen. This analyst, I believe, is a Florida State guy. I don't know who it is. He's a little too optimistic. He says, this program is definitely trending toward 10, 11, 12 wins, national championship contention. Whoa, 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 whoa. Mike, I wish. No, my hair looks nothing like Elvis. But hey, if you want to give that to me, I'll take it. Yeah, who's got like big hair in college football anymore? Mike Gundy's got a ton of hair. Nick Saban's got a kind of like a helmet hair deal. But everybody else, the hairstyles are just to cut it really short if you're a football coach. Nobody's really got flowing locks anymore. Yeah. Can't think of anybody. Gundy. People have even backed off from the way it was trending, 5, 6, 7, 10 years ago? Like when Tom Brady all of a sudden just grew his hair down to his shoulders. That went away after a couple of years. Everybody wears a hat all the time. Mayhem. The movie Grease, Mark, is what I figure your hair to be. Oh, I definitely go with the product. Every time somebody comments on my hair, I think of the time, and this was way before any of you were watching. I used to have this guy on from work. When I worked at ESPN, he worked with me at ESPN, and he would come on. And this is when I used to, even before I narrowed down to just college football, and he would come on to talk NBA and college basketball. And it was so hilarious one time because we were taking comments in the live chat, and somebody made some kind of comment about me dyeing my hair, but it was a funny comment. Like they made a hilarious comment about me dyeing my hair, which is hilarious because I'm very happy, very thankful that for some reason it's not going gray yet. John says, it's a high-stress job that most coaches don't get until they're in their 40s and their hair is falling out or thinning. Those boys do work. His Just Men beard. See, I don't have a Just Men beard. I've got a Just Men looking like hair because it stays dark. For whatever reason, I'm so thankful. But if I grew this out, that'd be 80% gray. Yeah, long hair Tom Brady. It looked stupid. Bill Clark has some nice hair. True. John is saying that Tate Rodemaker looks like QB2 for Florida State so far. I'm letting you guys down on the Florida State analysis, huh? Jordan Travis in the pocket, pump fakes, rolls left, runs out of bounds at the 30. Pat Riley. Well, yeah, Pat Riley. Mike Leach. Mike Leach has got some locks, especially for nowadays. Yeah. Mike Leach. Good call. Lane Kiffin's got some hair, grows his hair out a little bit. Again, if we were going back to like the 80s, especially the 70s, it wouldn't be anything close. Except for it seemed like all those coaches back then were older. Maybe it just seemed like they were older. You ever notice in watching classic TV or old movies? When I say old movies, I mean 50s, 60s, 70s, in that range, especially, that people look so old. Like you'll see somebody that's young in like 1965 and they look good. And then you'll see them in some other sitcom in 1975 and they look like a different person. They look like they aged 40 years in 10 years. That seemed like it was pretty normal. It was those people just downing scotch like it was water and smoking cigarettes like a chimney, I guess. Like button. Thanks, Exploring with Ben. Like button. Yep, there's a tune there, A100. Kid Rock, 89. It's 1989. Yep. Joe, well, Hummus Hero, thank you. Along with Pat Riley, the answer of Pat Riley by somebody, there's your answer right there, Jimmy Johnson. Jimmy Johnson. I'm going to have to make sure I check my phone because our guy, Greg Peterson's going to contact me to do some Nebraska Post. But he's got several hours after the game to do post-game interviews and so forth. Jamie Johnson interview. How many Florida State fans do we have in here? Got a touchdown from Micah Pittman, the Oregon transfer. Want to remind everyone, yeah, Peanut, you got every right in the world to say JJ is the GOAT, period. He's not, but he's in the argument. I don't want to start it up with you. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he's the GOAT, but he's got a, hey, he won 2 Super Bowls and won a national championship in college and beyond that. The hair of a televangelist. That's a good call too, Dave. Better recruiter. Yes, Fatal Gator. Where has George been? Working. I tell you, John, if that is not Jimmy Johnson's real hair, he made the transition perfectly because nobody noticed it. And I will say that my father died at the age of 75 and he had a full, his hair, he had more hair than I do at 75. John, you like that Lovey Smith beard, huh? That only put about 28 years on him, but it's sweet. The only time we've seen Jimmy Johnson's hair messed up is when he won the Super Bowl and he got the Gatorade bath and he hated and I think it was Michael Irvin who just really made sure we're going to mess this up. And he just gets into the hair. Emmett Smith. Yes. Thank you, Felipe. Good call. That was Emmett Smith who did that. Yeah. I can see it now. They got a little melt on Jordan Travis. I think he's looked pretty well. He threw a dime to the outside. The running plays are meaningless. They don't mean anything. He's basically running against air and then nothing. They're on the field with big Dylan Gibbons, 75, 326, 6'5". Everybody, give me your Florida State record for this season. My first take is 7-5. I'm going 7-5 Florida State. Not my final call, of course, but for right now, 7 up, 5 down. Dylan Gibbons just said that Florida State has all the talent in the world. We got a 7-5 with all the talent in the world. Pizza Woman, 6-6 or 7-5. I thought we were going to be definitive here. Like 6-6. 5-7, Connor. John, 6-6. If they go 5-7 this year, then folks are not going to be too happy with Big Mike. Also, want to remind everyone that we've been keeping count of our fan base here at the Voice of College Football. We want to know who roots for who. I would love to know. This is a pipe dream, but out of 34,000 subscribers, I would love to know. I would love to get a response from everyone to say, I root for Purdue. Michael Hogue, I root for Purdue. Hummus Hero, I root for. And so please contact me at MarkRogersTV at Gmail. Let me find the banner. Bless you as well, Michael. I appreciate your support. I appreciate the conversations we have about Purdue and college football. I am a blessed individual. So thank you. So please hit the like button. Join our Discord. You can talk Florida State all the time. You can talk college football all the time. Sign up on Patreon, search Mark Rogers TV. What I wanted to get to was let me find it. There we go. Who's your team? And tell me your college football story. I got a lot of interesting emails from people telling me just about how they became a college football fan, what their traditions are. But let me know who your team is. And I would like to know how long you've been watching. So send me an email at MarkRogersTV at Gmail, MarkRogersTV at Gmail. And everybody who's in the chat can attest to, I am not going to flood your inbox with garbage. I'm not going to use your email address for anything. You will not hear from me. There was at a point that I was writing a weekly college football newsletter that people enjoyed. We sent that out to about 80 or 90 people. I did that for maybe a year. Maybe I should get back to doing that, but we would have a separate sign up for that, of course. But I would love to do that again. Write a newsletter each and every Monday for the college football week. But anyway, that aside, just let me know who you root for. MarkRogersTV at Gmail. I'm keeping track. Michigan's winning right now. MarkRogersTV at Gmail. Let me know who you are, who you root for. Cheryl, it's way too early for my predictions too. Just taking count. Just curious. Christopher, 4-8. So a couple people answered me here who they root for. I'm not keeping track here. I'm not going to be running through this live chat to find it. MarkRogersTV at Gmail. Hit me up at MarkRogersTV at Gmail. Let me know who you root for. I'm going to post that comment for a while just because it makes me feel good. Thanks, Michael. I appreciate that. And Michael, I got to say, once we looked at the Purdue schedule, I understand your optimism, but don't discount the likes of Iowa and Illinois and Penn State, certainly in regards to winning those games. Those are going to be tough wins. All right, I guess we've got one more play left in the first half, but they didn't get it off. So are they still going to play it? I think they will. Okay, he missed him by about 5 yards. I hear good things about Johnny Wilson from our guy Logan Robinson from Knoll Game Day. Touchdown. Former Auburn player DJ Williams with a touchdown. They've got some running backs at Florida State, and I think they don't have a great receiver core, but I think it's going to be significantly better. Yeah, that's what we've been saying, Connor. Purdue misses Ohio State, Michigan State, and plays nobody non-conference. Now, if they go up and trip up at Syracuse, it could happen, but it shouldn't. All right, now it's halftime. So that's pretty much it for the spring games. We don't have an alternate spring game, even though Texas A&M and Auburn and Kentucky have been playing. But we can't get those games because ESPN put them on ESPN Plus instead of putting them on the SEC network where they belong. How many SEC people want to see how many SEC fans? Can't get my channel to change. Here we go. How many SEC fans want to see a college baseball game or see spring football? I'm not saying I know the answer to that for sure, but I'm pretty sure. Huh. Can I? They're thinking major football fans are going to, yes. Rogers telling me something. I worked there for 19 years. Yes, absolutely. You know that I know. Okay. Yes, they believe that, let's use round numbers. Let's say if 500,000 people would watch the Auburn spring game if it were on the SEC network. Let's say 500,000 people would watch that game, that practice. And only 250,000 people will watch this SEC baseball game. But they'll get out of that 500,000, they're not going to get 500,000 to go to ESPN Plus and get that service, but they can get 10 or 20% of them. Then you're talking 50,000, 100,000 people to go over there and sign up for the service. Then they come out a winner because they still get 250,000 people to draw ads on the main network, the SEC network, and they get 50, 80,000 people to sign up for ESPN Plus so that they can see spring football. Dave, I certainly have believed that my entire life. And that used to be a knock on corporate America, that corporate America was here to make money and businesses only cared about making money. I used to believe that to be true, and it was true for years and years and years, but that's not always the case now. Many of them exist to push a narrative, and they even sacrifice money to push a narrative. It was always about making money. That's the American way. Make money. I got no issue with that, as long as you're doing it honestly. But now some of them even risk and guarantee to make less money to push their narrative. Rowdy every lap. Are you a Florida State fan who believes that your running back group could be the best in the country? You're not a Florida State fan, right? Florida State does not have the best running back group in the country. Who do you root for, Rowdy, every lap? You know, Cheryl. Oh, Clemson. Okay. Maybe for the entire room. I get your point. It's not laughable. I don't agree, but it's reasonable. You know, Cheryl, I have not regretted it a minute, a second. I thought I would. I didn't think I was going to regret it, but I thought I would have my moments of regret, of course. I thought that I'd be like, oh, Lord, I'm not making any money. What am I going to do? I got to go get a job. I got to do this. I got to do that. No. The Lord is blessing me, and I have not regretted it one day. It has been better every day being here talking to all of you than going to work at ESPN. It's amazing. And that's not a knock on ESPN. Slightly it is, but it's not a complete knock on ESPN because I enjoy the people working there. Oh, we got to kick somebody out. We've got some kind of bot in here. Block them. Bye. Dave likes Michigan's running backs, Donovan Edwards, Blake Corum, of course. They are two of the best. Cheryl does not give ESPN a penny. Well, I got to be able to see as much football as possible. So it's part of my business. If I wasn't doing this, I would still pay for ESPN. I would not. I doubt if I would pay for the ACC, the SEC, and the Big Ten. Maybe. I might pay for them during the season and then shut it off. Roger. Yes, thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah. It's, again, I knew I was making the right move. I had complete peace about it, but I did think I'm probably going to be, pulling my hair, my helmet hair. What do you guys call it? I would probably be pulling that about a year and a half into it, thinking, okay, what am I going to do? I got to figure this out. What am I going to do? Nope, we're not there. We need to keep going and build and do better, but we're doing okay. Edward's been here about a year. Going to ask everyone to do something for us. If college football fans, and they don't join us, probably don't know that we're here. Just let them know, please. I appreciate it. Eric says, have you received offers from other networks? Anyone trying to buy up your channel? There was somebody that approached me about 3 or 4 months ago that you would recognize. You definitely know who this is. Not an individual, but a company that wanted to buy a channel. Florida State's close games last year. So Jordan Travis, I want to see. No, they're going to show all the same plays they just showed. Okay, the melt is the same. I want to see. How many channels? Mayhem, this is what we've got. So we got the main channel. Right now we're on the Florida State channel and the main channel. I think both. We've got 55 viewers right now, 59. Thought we would have more. When that Dwayne Haskins news broke and I went live at noon, we got up to like 430 viewers live. Anyway, this is what we've got, Mayhem. We've got a main channel. We've got an SEC channel. And then in the SEC, we've got Auburn, Alabama, LSU, Texas A&M, Tennessee, Georgia, Florida. We've got a Big Ten channel. And under the Big Ten channel, we've got Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Wisconsin, Iowa, Nebraska. In the Big 12, we've got a Oklahoma, Texas, and West Virginia channels. Out of the Pac-12, we've got USC and Oregon. And in the ACC, we've got Miami, Florida State, Clemson, Virginia Tech, and North Carolina. Then we've got a Notre Dame channel as well. So whatever that totals, it's about 25. Now, we've got some channels that are kind of on life support. They're a bit stagnant. I just can't throw it full throttle into all of them. So Wisconsin's a bit dead. Auburn's a bit dead. Tennessee, North Carolina, Virginia Tech are kind of dead. Miami's strong. Ohio State's strong. Oklahoma's strong. Michigan's strong. Those are probably our 4 strongest channels. And then probably Texas and Florida State. Alabama's coming along. Notre Dame's coming along. Exploring with Ben. Yeah, if you're coming through, maybe we can meet up. Cheryl can sit in her van and pick up free internet. Okay. Mark, what is the SG1 channel? It's a guy named Chris, and Chris and I collaborate to a certain extent. So he has an SD1 sports channel, college football channel, and he does his thing. I do my thing, but we collaborate. We collaborate. Mayhem, how long have you had that channel? You know how long it took me to get to 73 subs? That's a good question. I wonder how long. What's nice about YouTube too, this is killing me every time this laptop, as long as if it sits for a few minutes, it's toast and I got to restart it. And I did buy a new laptop. This just isn't it. I bet it took me 3 or 4 months to get to 73. No, I bet it took me longer than that. I bet it took me almost a year to get to 73 subs. What's cool is you can go to your YouTube analytics and you can look up almost anything. The only thing that annoys me is that YouTube used to count comments. Like it would show me in the last month, you've gotten 9,047 comments. Now they don't have that anymore. I don't know why not. Because now I get a lot more comments. Let's see. Let's see. In my first year on the main channel, in the first year, right. Okay. I started on March 26, 2010. After 1 year, guess how many subscribers I had after 1 year? After 1 full year, wonder how many videos I had produced at that point. There's no way to look that up. Well, there is. You know what? Let's see. After 1 year, they're showing me my top 50 videos. So I had over 50 videos. Way over 50. So I produced way over 50 videos after 1 full year. Just when I run into YouTubers and they're discouraged and they can't believe that they can't build or grow, and they're like, I don't know how you do it, and you've got a big channel, which I don't have a big channel, but in their eyes, you got a big channel, and I'm so discouraged. I only have 407 subscribers and all that. I go back to something like this and I show them. Okay. Everybody get their guess in. Roger said 100 subs after 1 year. After 1 full year on YouTube, guess how many subs I had? Hummus goes 1969. All right. Nobody wants to guess except for Roger. 100. So after 1 year, I had, we got to guess 55. We got 300. All right. I'm going to put it up on the banner. After 1 full year, type. I had 8 subscribers after a year. After 2 years, I had switch the page on me. That's not what I want. Stupid thing. After 2 years, you guys don't care about this stuff, but I'm finding this interesting. After 2 years, oh my goodness, after 2 years, I guess on this one, after 2 years, I had, I don't have enough banner space. After 2 years, we got some guesses. 158, 6,000. 58 or 6,000. Hummus Hero said, I had more subs after a year, and all I have is a video of my cat. Exactly. I had 8 after 1 year. Rowdy Every Lap says 777. Yes, Mike 3883. This is the perfect time to share the video after work. College football is going on. You can let your friends know we're here every week. All right. This is after 2 years, 17 subscribers. That's it. After 3 years. Ooh, it's big time after 3 years. After 3 years, see if anybody has any guesses. Whoops. After 1,800, 5,000, 38. Cheryl, I wasn't the 8th. I more than doubled. Yeah, from 8 to 17. That's phenomenal growth from 8 to 17. Absolutely. 383. After 3 years, I had 66. It's going to jump at some point. After 4 years, 77, 123, 147. After 4 years, I had after 4 years. Any other guesses? 97, 122. After 4 years, 201. After 5 years. After 5 years. Man, I've been doing this for about 12 years, almost to the month. Yeah, in March. After 5 years. What do we got here? 5 years, 509 for Roger. 6,200 Hummus. Yeah, you got to put in the work to expect the results. 4367 Mayhem. Okay, after 5 years, I still only at 412. When did we start making some moves here? After 6 years. After 6 years. Wow. This is I didn't even quite realize this, I guess. After 6 years. Why did I keep doing this? I was doing this for 6 years. Them years, I always working, Mark. After 6 years, Roger says 905. Rowdy Every Lap, 700. Cheryl's not guessing. Okay, so after 6, Mayhem Matthew 5341. So after 6 years, it's got to start exponentially jumping, right? I'm almost at 34,000 after 12 years. After 6, 713. Okay, when is that? I think we're due for a jump here. I think after 7 years. So this is right now, 2017. After 7 years, we were at They're going to start rounding it. I don't know down to it. Huh. I thought I could still get the exact number. I might be off by a few, but after 7 years, 700, 400, etc., 1,800. Might as well finish. After 8 years, for 8 years, we were at 4,000. 9 years. 9 years, 9,100. 10 years, 19,000. 11 years, 25,000. And right now at 34,000, or a few shy. Thanks for playing along. (2018) Yeah, that was probably a pretty good year. Was that the year that they turned to trash? Let's see. I probably had a good 2018. It was more like 2020, 2019 and 20. What's going on here, boys? $23 new players for Florida State this year. We may be back for some Florida State talk with Jason Parker, possibly. And we may be on a little bit later with Nebraska talk with Greg Peterson. So kind of special edition, Nebraska Live and Florida State shows, we believe. Those guys have to come back from the spring games. Well, Roger, it's kind of leveling off. So I'm right there with you. I want to believe that it's going to pick back up, but it's been pretty slow here for a few months. But Roger, thanks for that optimistic projection. John says 2018 was the year I really started noticing that SportsCenter and ESPN talk shows had turned to trash, and I stopped using ESPN as background noise while I worked. Rowdy says, Mark, can you do a video on best defensive lines in the country, Clemson, Ohio State, Alabama? Well, we're going to do this for sure. I don't want to promise anything I can't deliver. Of course, I would love to do all requests, but we've ranked the coaches in every conference. We still have to do the SEC, and then we're going to do our top 10. We're going to rank all the players in every conference. We're not going to rank all the players, but we're going to rank like the top 10 players at each position in every conference. So I don't know if we're going to do entire defensive lines, but I appreciate that request, and we may do it. I don't want to promise it because, again, I've got on my schedule to do quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, offensive line, defensive line, linebackers, safeties, corners, special teams, and go through all. Ballard, that's a good one as well. That's on my content list. We talked about that the other night, but I just kind of introduced what I thought were the most interesting and most important quarterback battles this spring and going into August. Oregon, Clemson, Texas A&M, Auburn, LSU, Florida. there really aren't quarterback battles in the Big Ten. Maybe Michigan. Most of the big ones are in the SEC. Auburn, LSU, Texas A&M, Florida. And then, of course, we could have one at Missouri if JT Daniels does not choose Mizzou. And Texas is big. But I love those two suggestions about ranking the defensive lines and ranking the best quarterback battles. Also, we've talked a lot about national championships and the validity of the national championships. No, Emory Jones has not yet transferred. He's in the transfer portal. So we've talked college football all-time rankings, and of course we had our series of all-time program rankings and talked about that. And within that, we started to discuss national championships and their validity. I wanted to go through, and maybe I'll do this live as well, and we'll open up the phone lines and we'll do this live, and we will focus each show on a different decade, and I'll get your thoughts on which national championships weren't necessarily valid or were in question, or who else should have been considered, because you guys know I've got a real thought on that. Even during the 2000 teens, even though we've had a national championship and a playoff, and it's been tighter and more legit and more valid, still, for example, in 2020, why did Notre Dame get a playoff spot and not Oklahoma or Cincinnati or Texas A&M? In 2017, I know it seems ridiculous, and in no way am I touting that UCF was the best team in the country in 2017. Do not misunderstand me. But did they earn the right to share a national championship? 2015, Ohio State could have been in the playoff. 2018, Ohio State could have been in the playoff. 2016, Penn State could have been in the playoff instead of Ohio State. 2012, if Ohio State didn't make a stupid decision and eliminate themselves from bowl contention because of probation the year before due to Tattoo Gate, Ohio State would have been playing Notre Dame for the national championship in 2012. Well, thank you, James. I appreciate that. They're not perfect, but I do my best, and at least it's fair. And you guys call, and if you look at the comments that come in, sometimes people will enlighten me to something, and I'll be like, yeah, I see it your way. I get that. Maybe I didn't totally see that the right way, or I could have measured it a little bit differently. These all-time rankings that I just came out with a couple of weeks ago, they're not perfect, but they were as exhaustive as I could get without making it like a year-long project. Like I could have ranked like schedule strength and things like that I would have loved to have done. I would have loved to have had a category of who has the best records against ranked teams or top 10 teams, but that's crazy. To real MVP, you're right. They are subjective, but they should be the result of as much objective information as possible to make them as objective as possible, but they're still subjective. Yeah, people get upset about my top 25. Oklahoma fans hated me for the first 5 or 6 weeks of the season. You beat Tulane by 5 points. You're telling me you should beat the number 3 team in the country. That's your resume right now. You beat Tulane by 5 points at home. And you lucked out because they fumbled on the last drive. And you're telling me you're the third most deserving team to be ranked in the country. Like, people just need to calm down and understand when your team earns the ranking, I will put them in the right place. It was funny. The first time I did that, the first 2 seasons were the 2 seasons that Maryland beat Texas in the opening game of the season. And Texas was preseason, highly ranked, well thought of. I wasn't completely sold, and as it turned out, they were overrated, but still a very talented team. Devin Leary, 35 TDs and 5 picks. And so I ranked Maryland. They were 1-0 with a win over Texas. And one of those times on the road, I ranked them like 8th in the country. People went crazy. They're not the 8th best team in the country. I didn't say they were the 8th best team in the country. They're going to lose this game and this game and this game. And when they do, they will be ranked where they should be ranked. When they do lose those games. For right now, they're 1-0 and they beat Texas. Yeah, Rob J. I'm still going. I'm a glutton. Well, folks, I think we're going to wrap it up. The NC State boys are on the field, but again, that's from earlier today at 1 p.m. Eastern time. And Pitt played earlier today. That's going to be on the ACC network at 9. Man, see, this is one of those things. If I knew I was going to get good participation and views, I'd review the game and give a recap. I used to do that all the time. If you look at previous years, I'd do like 12 spring game recaps. But we're here live with you. We may do a Florida State post game. We may do a Nebraska post game. We shall see. Appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for the support. It was fun. It was great. We're going to do this every Saturday during April. The next 2 weekends are loaded again with a ton of games. Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Miami, just to name a few next Saturday. So I'll be here with you. Appreciate you being here at the Voice of College Football. We expect to go live on Sunday. We expect to go live on Monday. Ferris, I appreciate you as well. Hummus Hero, good to see you. Cheryl, Rowdy, Edward, Michael, and Roger, and Rob, and everybody I missed. John has been here all day, and DeReal MVP and Fatal Gator, exploring with Ben, of course. Hopefully you're done driving. And again, great to see everyone. It's good to see James, Ohio State fan James. And again, if I missed you, you know, I can't say everybody's name. DeReal, this is not DeReal MVP. This is the real Hayden. Mark, would you consider Iowa a quarterback competition? They're claiming it's an open competition. You know, I can't answer that question. I don't know. I think that Spencer Petras has a huge, enormous edge in that competition. So I think it's a competition in that, oh, if Padilla plays way better than Petras and Petras falls on his head, yeah, we'll give Padilla the start. But I don't think it's they're starting out even open competition. Every benefit of the doubt, I believe, is going to Spencer Petras. All right, folks, appreciate you being here. Again, we're going live on Sunday. We're going live on Monday right here at the Voice of College Football. And hit that like on the way out. DeReal MVP tells you.